Hey everyone, Catch 'em All Collectibles here. In today's video, we are going to use Pokemon to discuss why and how journalism is dead. In 2025, it's probably been dead for 10 years, if not longer, but it's getting a lot worse. And I'm going to talk through how and why that is. And we're going to use a very current example in Pokemon to demonstrate why that is. I made a video 3+ years ago at this point, asking eBay, asking at the time it was Golden, asking at the time it was PWCC as well, the platforms, the major selling platforms in our space to like give us better data. Shortly before I made that, it was very timely at the time because you had PWCC on Instagram verifying sales that didn't happen. The consigners of the items were like, hey, PWCC on Instagram said this was paid. I didn't get my money. Golden, same thing. Items being sold for a certain thing. The consigner, the buyer saying like, no, that didn't happen. eBay, it's like, we have the technology. I'm not a tech guy, but like it could be done. So as of today, this PSA 9 Illustrator, if you go search on eBay, Pokemon sold high to low, SM Pratt's eBay high to low, whatever it may be, this show sold. It shows a green number. Green means go. Green means it was good to go, right? No. From the man himself, SM Pratt. As many of you know, someone hit buy it now on my Illustrator. He's making a thread. The buyer hasn't paid. This is true as of 10:50 p.m. Eastern time on September 14th. If between now and when my video goes live in about 18 hours, somewhere in that ballpark, if between now and when this video goes live, it gets paid, that doesn't change the fact of what I'm saying tonight. It might ultimately get paid and it might be real, but it's not real yet. And why did I say journalism is dead? I made that video a few years ago on why these platforms need to be better. Like eBay, can't you just make it red? Make it red until it's paid and then turn it green. And if a month later it gets returned and refunded, make it red again. Delete it out of the system, whatever it may be. Fanatics actually does a good job as far as like, I think when an item is sold within the first day or two or a week, you can see the sold price before it's paid. But like a month later, I wish they would do it quicker. I wish it would not be in the record until it was paid. But one thing they do, which eBay doesn't, as far as I know, they delete it from the record. Fanatics will delete it from the record if it goes unpaid and gets relisted, whereas eBay will kind of leave it there for 90 days just hanging around. I will show you at the end of the video though. One thing I failed to do in my video 3 years ago is there's a better way to see on eBay whether something was paid or not paid. I think it's foolproof. You'll have to let me know in the comments below later in the video if it is or not. But anyways, journalism is dead, and I will show you the extent to which that is true. $4 million it turned green. That is enough. So let's define what journalism is. Dan, you're saying journalism is dead. What even is journalism? It's 2025. Probably died 10 years ago, maybe 20 years ago. I don't know. The proliferation of the internet and instantly TikTok brain, you have to get everything at the second. But journalism is the collection, verification is a keyword, writing and dissemination of news and information through various media to inform the public. Continuing on, it is characterized by its commitment to accuracy, clarity, and brevity. This channel, I'm not a journalist. This channel, I've never been accused of having any amount of brevity, but I do my best to entertain, educate, inform. I would not call myself a journalist though, but I think I do better. These skills include interviewing, research, and analysis. So maybe I'm putting my journalist cap on here because I've done the research. I've found the primary source. So if a theoretical transaction were to have happened between SM Pratt and some mysterious buyer, SM Pratt is a pretty decent guy to interview. Not that I interviewed him. I just read his public facing elite forum post saying that like it's not paid. And I'm sure Scott will come back to this thread immediately and say like, hey, now it's paid, now it's real, I shipped it out. He'll probably update us on the saga if and when it gets paid. But I'm fairly certain, I'm quite confident that it probably won't be, just given other comps, given other things that went on. And let me just show you, like, here are relatively mainstream media sites just reporting on this as if it's real, as if it's done. It's insane to me, the lack of journalistic integrity in, and this is not, this website is Dexerto, which is a pretty big website. This one is Marca.com, which I've never heard of. But anyways, this website is fairly large, fairly mainstream. It's not like your CNN, Fox News, trying to say things on both sides of the aisle there. A lot of these things though, like this is Pokemon. At the end of the day, it's like it's a luxury item, it's a collectible. Who cares ultimately? One could say it's like, Dan, you're gonna make this 10-20 minute rant video about the failure of journalistic integrity in Pokemon cards. It's like, who cares? Who cares? These are collectibles that like nobody needs. Who cares if some rich guy's gonna pay too much because whatever. I'm not gonna get into it in this video, but like this happens in real stories, life and death stories like because above journalistic integrity, above accuracy, above verifying data, people just care about clicks. People just care about clicks, drama, division, inciting emotion inside the viewer to get them to click and watch and earn money from the ad revenue. That's what it's all about. I know it's kind of rich hearing it coming from a YouTuber, but like if you followed my channel for a long time, we've had the conversation a lot. Clearly, I'm not playing like the click game. Every time I make a video that says investing in the title, and I do make them every so often, I make them as like, look back at my channel, you can see exactly how often I made them. But I know when I make a certain video, I know that like this one's going to be a 1 to a 3 out of 10. It's going to be one of my top 3 videos out of the last 10 that I posted, just because it's talking about my investing palette, or it's talking about this, or it's that. I will never, I can promise you, over 4 years, over thousands of videos, thousands of hours talking, there's probably times that I've said something incorrectly, but it's not through lack of effort in trying to verify what I'm saying. Sometimes you just misspeak, right? It's not through laziness. It's not through ignorance. It could be through ignorance, I guess. It's not through laziness, and it's not through like a shortcut to just like seeing dollar signs. Hey, I need to get this hot video out about this new spoiler, this new set, whether or not it's true. Some reprint that comes through, and then 6 months later, like the reprint never hit, and nobody ever cares because the clicks were made, the affiliate links were clicked, all those things happen. It's crazy. It's not as bad that it happens in Pokemon, but it happens everywhere, and it's sad. It's really sad. The rarest Pokemon card of all time. We're off to a great start, right? What does that mean? The rarest Pokemon card of all time, that is not correct about the illustrator, has sold for $4 million in an eBay auction. It was not an auction, it was a buy it now. Auction implies that there were multiple participants bidding. Auctions imply that there was a second bidder that was the underbidder that was outbid for the $4 million. So it's like we had a bidding frenzy. We were, you should have been there. It was crazy. We had an auction and it ended at $4 million. None of those things are true. It is not the rarest Pokemon card of all time by any metric. The PSA 9 Mint card was listed by longtime collector SM Pratt. There we go. They got something right. Good job. And closed at a flat $4 million on September 12th, making it one of the most expensive sales in the hobby's history. The illustrator first awarded with only an estimated 20 to 39 copies ever handed out. This is one where like journalistic integrity, you could Google it, you could find some sources, but if you dive deep enough, I feel like to write an article on a real website, you should be able to have some not just surface level knowledge, you should be able to have some subject mastery, some subject experience in the space. I'm not going to call out the individual author of this, or maybe I will if I scroll down far enough. But it's like, I don't know who wrote it. They haven't been around Pokemon, clearly, because it's like the amount that have been graded at PSA, CGC, BGS combined are significantly more than the 20 to 39. The Akabane extra copies, the PK Ono printer, basement printer, all those things. Considered the holy grail. Pokemon cards, subjectivity, it's like, who cares about that? It's not my holy grail. It is a lot of people's holy grail. Subjectivity's fine. But extreme rarity and value, again, subjectivity, nothing wrong there. In 2022, Logan Paul made headlines when he purchased a PSA 10 version of the same card for over $5 million. Again, I'm kind of like a subject matter. I don't want to call myself an expert, like an intermediate at least. I've been around for a while. I remember that was sold sold and traded for $5.275 million. It was $4 million and a PSA 9 illustrator that was valued at $1.275 million. So just like, why do we say over 5 million? Be more precise. Get the actual number. Maybe talk about sale and trade. It's not as sexy. It's not as concise. Doesn't have as much brevity. I don't know how to say that another way, but it's not as concise as saying that the shorter thing that is less correct. But I would forsake brevity for accuracy. Personally, clearly. The copy sold on eBay is one of the most famous examples. The Bulbapedia stock image. Those are all true. Yeah. Other than that, feels like everything is there. I don't even think, is there even an author? Oh, the author is right there. Zachary, you have done a bad job. this to you. Here's another one. Here's another one from Marca. I have no idea what this website is, but $4 million for a Pokemon card. That's the crazy price paid for a Pikachu Illustrator edition. The letter was sold on eBay for such a high price. So maybe this is like Marca. Doesn't that mean, that means like score in Spanish, I think? I'm looking now, and there might be, yeah, Ace Noticia, it says at the top. This is a Spanish website, I guess. So Mario Martin, you are a bad person too, that not a very good journalist. Hopefully I don't get in trouble for calling out people by name, but I'm not even pointing out my opinions. I'm pointing out objective facts. I have my sources. I have the primary source. Remember when you had to do a paper, a research paper back in school, and you had to have your work cited, and you had to have your bibliography, they called it. Well, here's my number one source on my bibliography. I could DM Scott on Discord. I'm not going to waste his time with it because I'm pretty sure that he is going to update this if and when it's paid. And as I'm saying this, again, it's accurate as of 11 p.m. now on Sunday night, September 14th at 11 p.m. So I have consulted my sources. I am making objective statements of fact that this card was not sold and paid. It may be sold and paid by tomorrow, by the next day, and then I'll talk about it in my live stream. That's one thing too. When people in mainstream media get things wrong, oftentimes the initial incorrect statement is dwarfing the view count of any potential future retraction. And I made it in my video earlier 3 years ago that I made. Some people did. Back in the day, there were some apologies made. There were some retractions made. Some people didn't even bother with the retraction. It's like crazy to me that people wouldn't come out and even delete it. But anyways, if and when these websites issue a retraction, it'll be in days, or it'll be in weeks, or it'll be in a month. And say the view count of the original article was 1 million views or something, because I see it on Instagrams, I see it on TikToks, I see it in Discords and forums, wherever. Might be 1 million views for some of these websites. If and when the retraction gets made, it'll be 10,000 views. It'll be some tiny fraction. That's just the way that it goes, because the retraction isn't as interesting. The big number, big sale, booming market, that's just what gets the clicks. So this considered one of the, so this one says considered one of the rarest cards in the world. I like that one better. It doesn't mean a whole lot, but like it's not objectively provably incorrect like the last one was. This logically makes its price reach unsuspected limits. This is probably like a little bit of conversion from like Spanish to English. Some of the wording will sound a little bit weird. It is considered by many to be the holy grail of Pokemon cards with only between 20 and 39 copies. Again, that one is demonstrably false. There was a kind of a history with this card where originally there were supposed to be 4, and then 7, and then 9, and then 11, and then 15, and then 20, and then 39. But we know extra copies, Akabane, as I said earlier. We don't know how many, but I think if you add up the pop report alone between PSA, CGC, BGS, and yes, some of those were cracked out, resubmitted, so that is slightly inflated, but I want to say they're in the high double digits at this point. It's probably, by most people in this space, it's probably well agreed that there are at least 100 of these floating around with all the recent sales we've had. But anyways, not including this one, because this one does exist, but it was not sold for $4 million, at least as of right now. It was sold but not paid, which really, we wouldn't call that sold, right? Until it's actually paid. So now it's become one of the most expensive Pokemon cards in history, being purchased at an eBay auction for $4 million. A very high price, but that one is explained by the exclusivity of the card. It's, yeah, it does seem like utter madness. It seems so mad that it might not even be real. It's just crazy. It's just crazy that, you can even go and you can click see original listing. You can see that it's a buy now. Like these things are just provably false. Where is the journalistic integrity? It has died. It just is not a thing anymore, sadly. One last thing that I did want to show. So in my video 3 years ago, I did not tell people this one method to get whether or not a sale was real. People kind of know 130 point exists. It's not perfect though. Like I said in my video 3 years ago, for seller initiated offers, it'll show you the original buy it now list price, even though the completed sale price might have been lower. One way to get around that though, Catch 'em all collectibles, eBay signed in here, 23,700 positive feedback. But over the past 7 days, which is where I'm at here. If you go into the research tab, it is under product research. It used to be called Terapeak, and now it's just kind of like built into eBay. I don't think they call it Terapeak anymore. But anyways, you type in Pikachu Illustrator PSA 9, all of those keywords which were in consecutively in the title, and it doesn't show up here. We see the average sold price of 102. We see the highest sold price at 336. An illustration rare Pikachu. You can see why this card illustration came up close enough, but it's not in here. If and when it gets paid, as far as I understand, let me know in the comments below if I'm wrong here. But I believe Terapeak is kind of bulletproof. I believe if it's in here, that means it was sold and paid. Kind of like Fanatics. If you're looking at something that ended like the day or the week you're looking at it, it might be up in flux. But if you're looking at Fanatics sales records from weeks ago, months ago, years ago, those were all actually transacted items. They were bought and paid for. So yeah, there's my little bit of a rant. I'm not going to get into the implications this has in the political sphere, the implications this has with current events going on, and actual things going on in the world. And it's like, it's just being used to sow more division. Certain rhetoric will go, certain theories will be thrown out there, and before anything gets verified, before any facts come to light, there's already tons of TikToks, tinfoil hatters, conspiracy theories. There's already people running with the narratives that suit their worldview best, and they're just going with it. And by the time, if and when the true facts come out, it's like, oh, if those facts don't coincide with the way I see the world, with the way I see life, with what I want to hear, a lot of people just outright reject them. So yeah, kind of deep and heavy there at the end, if you know what's going on in the world today. And it's scary. It's unfortunate. I don't know what to do about it. I honestly, sometimes you can't help it because it is just everywhere. But like, I don't thoroughly engage in the mainstream media. I don't even hardly engage in any media of any kind. I have social media. Find me, Catch 'em all collectibles on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. YouTube is my home. YouTube is my primary space. I enjoy this space a lot to talk with other people. And we're talking about like, not events really. We're talking about ideas, and we're talking about like what I'm doing. I'm doing a biography of like my business and what I'm buying, what I'm selling, and why. And all that's just like, it's objective statement of fact. Like, I did this, I did that. And then it's thoughts about like what I think the market will do. So it's all like, it's a lot of subjectivity, a lot of my opinions, my thoughts, guided by the history. But when you get to like articles being put out there, and people just, it's again, yeah, I shouldn't ramble on too long because then I'll end up saying something I have to edit out or whatever. But it's crazy out there. Arm yourselves with information. It is sad in 2025 with all the power we have in our pockets, with all the computing power at our fingertips, and all the information of the world a couple searches away, and how misinformed, how ignorant so many people are of like actual things that go on. And again, I'm never really going to comment on the broader like real life stuff, but when it's so painfully obvious that something, it's like when you see an article on something that you're kind of like a subject matter expert in, it always, you always kind of get it. You like, you should read everything else with a grain of salt. I say that very cautiously because I know that this is one thing that it's almost political that I'll send people off with, because I've had this rant in a live stream. It is 2025 and we landed on the moon back in 1969. That can be verified. You go out and buy a hobbyist telescope, powerful telescope. There are things you can do to verify that was done. And that is a disputed thing in today's day and age. If you don't think we did that, I can't help you here. Please dislike and unsubscribe and quit watching my videos. But that's what we're dealing with. We are dealing with a world wherein things that are like known, proven, provable facts are not being treated as such. And it's not that surprising. It's not that surprising because of how the lack of any integrity within journalistic societies, just due to monetary gain. It's just all gone. I went way longer than I should have there. I went on way more ranty than I expected. But yeah, the $4 million Pikachu Illustrator sale has not finalized, has not completed, likely was not a sale. If and when it does get paid, I guess maybe it'll only get 1/10 of the views of my original article. I promise I'm not doing this solely to the clickbait and farm ad revenue, the $200-300 of YouTube ad revenue I make a month. I'm doing this to just call out something that I see in going on in our space, going on in our world, and give you my commentary on it as I do with this channel. So with that, yeah, if you made it all the way, give me a money emoji in the chat, because that is what journalism is all about these days. It's just all about the clicks, all about the money, not about the facts whatsoever, and it's sad. With that, I will catch you all later.